सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Namaste. It's with heartfelt joy and deep gratitude that we welcome you all to day 2 of Surya Katha, exploring the stories and mysteries of Surya by Sri Vinay Varanasi. Yesterday, we began with a radiant journey into the symbolism, energy and stories of the sun, the life giver, the witness and the eternal source of light. Today, we have gathered again in the sacred space of reflection and learning to continue our celebration of Surya. At the heart of today's exploration lies a timeless jewel of the scriptures, Aditya Hridayam, composed by sage Agastya and delivered to Lord Rama on the battlefield. The Aditya Hridaya is a powerful invocation, spiritual weapon and a healing prayer. Like yesterday, let us begin with the chanting of the verses. Let it not just be a recitation, but internalization and realization.
गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोर्मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् ततो युद्धपरिश्रान्तं समरे चिन्तया स्थितम् रावणं चाग्रतो दृष्ट्वा युद्धाय समुपस्थितम् दैवतैश्च समागम्य द्रष्टुमभ्यागतोरणम् उपागम्याब्रवीत् राममगस्त्यो भगवान् ऋषिः राम राम महाबाहो शृणु गुह्यं सनातनम् येन सर्वानरीन् वत्स समरे विजयिष्यसि आदित्यहृदयं पुण्यं सर्वशत्रुविनाशनम् जयावहं जपे नित्यम् अक्षय्यं परमं शिवम्
सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्यं सर्वपापप्रणाशनम् चिन्ताशोकप्रशमनम् आयुर्वर्धनमुत्तमम् रश्मिमन्तं समुद्यन्तं देवासुरनमस्कृतम् पूजयस्व विवस्वन्तं भास्करं भुवनेश्वरम् सर्वदेवात्मको ह्येष तेजस्वी रश्मिभावनः एष देवासुरगणान् लोकान् पाति गभस्तिभिः एष ब्रह्मा च विष्णुश्च शिवस्कन्दः प्रजापतिः महेन्द्रो धनदः कालो यमः सोमो ह्यपाम्पतिः पितरो वसवः साध्या ह्यश्विनौ मरुतो मनुः वायुर्वह्निः प्रजाप्राणऋतुकर्ता प्रभाकरः आदित्यः सविता सूर्यः खगः पूषा गभस्तिमान् सुवर्णसदृशोभानुः स्वर्णरेता दिवाकरः हरिदश्वः सहस्रार्चिः सप्तसप्तिर्मरीचिमान् तिमिरोन्मथनः शम्भुस्त्वष्टा मार्ताण्ड अंशुमान् हिरण्यगर्भः शिशिरस्तपनो भास्करो रविः अग्निगर्भोदितेः पुत्रः शङ्खः शिशिरनाशनः व्योमनाथस्तमो भेदी रुग्यजुः सामपारगः घनवृष्टिरपां मित्रो विन्ध्यवीथीप्लवङ्गमः आतपीमण्डली मृत्युः पिङ्गलः सर्वतापनः कविर्विश्वो महातेजा रक्तः सर्वभवोद्भवः नक्षत्रग्रहताराणाम् अधिपो विश्वभावनः तेजसामपि तेजस्वी द्वादशात्मन्नमोऽस्तु ते वायगिरये पश्चिमायाद्रये नमः ज्योतिर्गणानां पतये दिनाधिपतये नमः जयाय जयभद्राय हर्यश्वाय नमो नमः नमो नमः सहस्रांशो आदित्याय नमो नमः नम उग्राय वीराय सारंगाय नमो नमः नमः पद्मप्रबोधाय मार्ताण्डाय नमो नमः ब्रह्मेशानाच्युतेशाय सूर्यायादित्यवर्चसे भास्वते सर्वभक्षाय रौद्राय वपुषे नमः तमोघ्नाय हिमघ्नाय शत्रुघ्नायामितात्मने कृतघ्नघ्नाय देवाय ज्योतिषां पतये नमः तप्तचामीकराभाय वह्नये विश्वकर्मणे नमस्तमोभिनिघ्नाय रुचये लोकसाक्षिणे नाशयत्येष वैभूतं तदेव सृजति प्रभुः पायत्येष तपत्येष वर्षत्येष गभस्तिभिः एष सुप्तेषु जागर्ति भूतेषु परिनिष्ठितः एष एवाग्निहोत्रं च फलं चैवाग्निहोत्रिणाम् वेदाश्च क्रतवश्चैव क्रतूनां फलमेव च यानि कृत्यानि लोकेषु सर्वेषु प्रभुः येनमापत्सु कृच्छ्रेषु कान्तारेषु भयेषु च कीर्तयन् पुरुषः कश्चिन्नावसीदति राघव पूजयस्वैनमेकाग्रो देवदेवं जगत्पतिम् एतत् त्रिगुणितं जप्त्वा युद्धेषु विजयिष्यसि अस्मिन् क्षणे महाबाहो रावणं त्वं वधिष्यसि एवमुक्त्वा तदागस्त्यो जगाम च यथागतम् एतत् श्रुत्वा महातेजानश्च शोको भवत्तदा धारयामास सुप्रीतो राघवः प्रयतात्मवान् आदित्यं प्रेक्ष्य जप्त्वा तु परं हर्षमवाप्तवान् गिराशम्यश्चिर्भूत्वा धनुरादाय वीर्यवान् रावणं प्रेक्ष्य हृष्टात्मा युद्धाय समुपागमत सर्वयत्नेन महतावधे तस्य धृतोऽभवत् अथरविरवदन्निरीक्ष्य रामं मुदितमनाः परमं प्रहृष्यमाणः निशिचरपति संशयं विदित्वा सुरगणमध्यगतो च स्त्वरेति इत्यार्षे श्रीमद् रामायणे वाल्मीकीये आदिकाव्ये चतुर्विंशतिसहस्रिकायां संहितायां युद्धकाण्डे आदित्यहृदयं नाम सप्तोत्तरशततमः सर्गः। क्रोरथो यस्य दिव्यः कनकभूषितः स मे भवतु सुप्रीतो पद्महस्तो दिवाकरः आदित्यः प्रथमं नाम द्वितीयं तु दिवाकरः तृतीयं भास्करः प्रोक्तं चतुर्थं तु प्रभाकरः पञ्चमं तु सहस्रांशुः षष्ठं चैव त्रिलोचनः सप्तमं हरिदश्वश्च अष्टकं तु विभावसुः नवमं दिनकृत् प्रोक्तं दशमं द्वादशात्मकम् एकादशं त्रयीमूर्तिः द्वादशं सूर्य एव च द्वादशादित्यनामानि प्रातःकाले पठेन्नरः दुःखप्रणाशनं चैव सर्वदुःखं च नश्यति दुद्रुकुष्ठहरं चैव दारिद्र्यं हरते ध्रुवं सर्वतीर्थप्रदं चैव सर्वकामप्रवर्धनम् यः पठेत् प्रातरुत्थाय भक्त्या नित्यमिदं नरः सौख्यमायुस्तथारोग्यं लभते मोक्षमेव च।
Dhanyavada. Welcome once again. Over to Vinay to delve into the essence of Surya.
नमः सवित्रे जगदेकचक्षुषे जगत्प्रसूतिस्थितिनाशहेतवे त्रयीमयाय त्रिगुणात्मधारिणे विरिञ्चि नारायणशङ्करात्मने ध्येयः सदा सवित्रमण्डलमध्यवर्ती नारायणः सरसिजासनसन्निविष्टः केयूरवान् मकरकुण्डलवान् किरीटिहारी हिरण्मयवपुः धृतशङ्खचक्रः शङ्खचक्रगदापाणे द्वारकानिलयाच्युतः गोविन्दः पुण्डरीकाक्षो रक्ष मां शरणागतम्। Namaskaram. It is such an honor to sit here and to receive Aditya Hridayam before speaking about it, and with gratitude to the Tapovriddhas on either side of me who are leading the way and telling us, so many of us who are much older than them in age, that there is so much power in collective prayer. And in whatever ways in our own journey, if we can just enable that, 3 of us, 5 of us, instead of choosing down to sit and just have a catch-up, if we can facilitate a small group where we sit and pray together, and I know that there are people in the audience who do that, the experience is unmatched. And to hear Aditya's namas coming in as we have been drenching in his Karunamritam since yesterday is really special, because yesterday we embarked on a very special journey, trying to metaphorically go closer to the sun, because we cannot physically go closer to him. And as we did that, essentially, if we actually analyze the largest part of yesterday, I'm doing a recap in typical Indian TV serial fashion. But in essence, if we have to really see what we explored yesterday, there is one strand that connects all the different kathas. And that simple strand is, what did people receive upon doing a namaskaram to Aditya? That namaskaram Samba did when he was cursed, and Narada started to speak to him about the Swarupam and the Tattvam of Aditya. Narada described to him various instances when people did a namaskaram to that Aditya. And who was the first person who did that namaskaram? Brahmadeva did that namaskaram before the creation of Srishti, and from that Mahatejas, which was too much for the world to take. And this has to be understood carefully, because it is not about the Tejas destroying the earth. It is about the idea that Paramatma is infinite. Paramatma's grace, his karunyam, his kanti is also infinite. We only know a portion of it. Purusha Suktam also talks exactly about this, saying we only know 1/4 of Paramatma's karunyam. 3/4 is beyond our understanding also. Brahmadeva did a namaskaram, and then Srishti began. Someone else also did a namaskaram and wanted this Jyoti, this Paranjyoti to be born to her. Who was that? That is Aditi. Aditi Devi did this namaskaram, and her namaskaram, if you observe, when these kathas are going on, they don't tell them in a linear fashion, and that is where translations often fall flat, because translations tend to filter out some of the beautiful portions that are there in the Mula Granthas. You will see when Aditi does a shlokam, in English it is very simple to say, Aditi did namaskaram to Surya, but Aditi's namaskaram to Surya is 1 chapter long. And in that, each stotram recognizes that she understands who Surya is, because she says something that is echoing across multiple shastras. Whenever any devata is worshipped, we see this kind of a thought coming in. You are responsible for Srishti. You are responsible for Sthiti. You are responsible for Laya. So you, who is capable of doing these 3 functions, please bless me. This is what Aditi says. The same bhavana you will see if you worship Ganapati. Sounding familiar? In the Atharva Shirsha, exactly this comes, where we talk about Ganapati being Sarvam Jagadidam Tvatto Jayate, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvattastishtati, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvai Layameshyati, Sarvam Jagadidam Tvai Pratyeti. You worship Devi, it is the same thing. Visrishtau Srishti Rupatvam Sthiti Rupa Cha Palane Tatha Samhriti Rupante Jagatosya Jaganmaye. Whichever God is being worshipped, the indication that is coming across multiple stotras on that devata is the same thing. This devata is not restricted to one department alone. This devata that I am worshipping is creating, is doing Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. I am worshipping them as the combination of that. When we do that, we expand our view of a devata. We stop restricting them to just departments that can quickly give us what we need to. Aditi did this stuti, and pleased with her tapas, Aditya was born to her, or Aditya manifested to her in how many forms? 12, Dvadash Adityas. We then spoke elaborately about the Katha of Aditya, that one Purusha who had 12 portions to him. We spoke about him and his patnis, Sangnya, Chaya, and their children. Their children being Vaivasvata, Yama, Yami, Shani, Tapati, and Savarni. And later, again with Sangnya, he had 2 children, or rather a pair of twins and another child. The Ashwini Kumaras. Anybody remembers their name? Nyasta and Dasra. Diagnosis, treatment. The entire philosophy, the Siddhanta of healing is hidden in those names. After the Ashwini Kumara, the son Revanta, his son Revanta also. So this is the entire Surya Kutumbam that came forward. We explored their stories and then explored the fascinating aspect of how this Aditya, who is called as Jagadeka Chakshushe, he is the eye to this entire universe. The various texts that we have within our cultural ethos have done this very beautiful thing, which is not just a poetic idea. Essentially what they have done is, they have recognized that the universe is one big body. Just like how there is a human body at work, here for us, the universe itself is one big body. And in this universe, the eyes of that universal body are Surya. And we saw how within our own body, it is this I that is the principal unit of timekeeping. From one nimesha, we got kala, we got kashtha, we got muhurta, we got dina, we got masa, we got paksha, we got ayana, we got samvatsara. The entire thing we trace to what? One nimesha. That is why the same Surya that rules this entire world and gives light is responsible for our eyesight. So this is called as, in Sanskritam, it's a very beautiful technical term called as Pindanda Brahmanda Samanvayam, connecting the individual body to the cosmic body and recognizing that it is the same force that is at work. From here, we also looked at other devatas who did namaskaram to Surya with this recognition that his light is not just about literal light, it is Jnanakanti, the light of knowledge. And two such beings did namaskarams to him and obtained phenomenal results. Who were they? One was Hanuman, who learnt Veda Vidya from him. We explored the concept of Suvachala being with Anjaneya Swami. And the other was Yajnavalka. Yajnavalka, a rishi who was blessed by Surya and obtained the Shukla Yajurveda. The mantras that are found in the Shukla Yajurveda and the Yajnavalka Smriti are all Surya Prasadam. So in essence, we saw some facets of Surya's character. That in addition to enabling Srishti, in addition to protecting, in addition to causing cosmic phenomenons like the moon to wax and to wane, and the entire concept of Yajna, we dwelt on this about how with each changing digit of the moon, with each changing tithi, there is a devata that goes and takes the Sudha Rasam from Chandra. Once this devata does this, eventually Chandra gets depleted and the process has to begin again. As the process begins, Yajna aids that process, where we offer something to Agni Devata. Agni Devata takes it through the Aditya Mandala and then gives it to that respective Devata. And the Havis that is offered for this is Ajya. Ajya being ghee. This entire concept is spoken about in Puranas and it is so beautiful. Wherever they mention about cattle and they mention about how the milk that comes from cattle has Chandra Tattvam, it has that Sudha Rasam inside it, a line will sooner or later a line will come saying these animals treated with care, they are then milked gently and their milk is converted to ghee. That treated with care is important and unfortunately in today's time we have forgotten that. So we believe that yes, Yajna is important, but we are not looking at the process of how well our cattle being treated when these objects are being taken from them. The horrors of today's dairy industry need to be examined by everybody who is on the ritualistic practice to understand, are we aiding or enabling that in any way? And those sensitive choices are left to us. Purana is giving it as a symbol, saying that these cattle need to be taken care of. With that idea of Yajnam and respecting the concept of Yajnam, we then looked at one phenomenal being himself, who is Yajna Purusha, Ramanamam Yajna Rakshanam Lakshanam, said one Bhakta. That this being came to protect Yajnam only. Because if you look at him, he was born from the Yajnam that Dasharatha was performing. That was the Putra Kameshti Yajnam. Then after he was born, Vishwamitra said, I want to take this boy for Yajna Rakshanam, to protect my Yajna. So he followed Vishwamitra. And after that, Vishwamitra said, let us go to Mithila Nagaram, where there is a Yajnam happening. And when they went there, he married somebody. Who did he marry? And how was Sita found? When Janaka was ploughing the land in order to perform a Yajnam. So there are so many Yajna Rahasyams hidden in this story. And eventually, he now comes to the battlefield, this Rama, and now finds himself tired. Tato yuddha parishrantam samare chintayasthitam. There is a little unease inside him. Can Rama feel uneasy? Question number 1. And when Rama feels uneasy, what should he do? Keep aside Rama. Keep aside Paramatma. Keep aside all these notions. In our life, when we feel uneasy, what do we do? That is why Ramayana is a story that is relevant across time. Because here, again, translations miss this. They quickly focus on all the action in the battlefield. But the action is internal more than it is external. Killing Ravana is a matter of minutes after this. But here is where he pauses. Because despondency takes over. A sense of helplessness, a sense of dejection. Isht madtidruno kelsa agtilla. Things are not getting done no matter how much I'm working. Have we felt like that? So then what do? What do we do when we feel like that? We ask for help. Who do we ask for help from? Okay, Ganesha. Sorry? Surya, because Surya Katha is going on, correct. And this is where the dynamic becomes interesting, because one can lose hope. Here itself the story is branching into multiple angles. One is, when you are having that sense of dejection, what do? What did Arjuna do? When he was losing all sense of focus, he first turned his attention to the person in front of him. Who is that? Every time there is a situation, you have two options. Either you let go or you hold on firmer. And Arjuna chose to do that, and Rama also chose to do that. Is Arjuna the same as Rama? Not by any means. Rama is Narayana. But Rama is such a phenomenal acting, is doing such phenomenal acting, that he shows what human emotions can go through. And that is why he allows this emotion to look like it's ruling him. In truth, Rama has no such loss of any sentiment or loss of courage. But by pretending to do so, he is essentially showing this is human nature. Human nature will bring you to a point where you have worked for something and it's not happening. Then what do? You pray. But who do you pray to? That is the biggest question. Ganesha, because you don't want Vignas. Devi, because it is Shravan Shukravaram and Pakka, you'll get money if you do this. Every Siddhanta is right in its own way. So do you pray to Ganesha? Do you pray to Devi? Do you pray to Shiva? Do you pray to Vishnu? Do you pray to Muruga? Do you pray to Surya? Are these different devatas? This is the question that gets subtly hinted at over here when somebody comes for Rama's sake alone. Rama didn't call him. He still came. The rahasyams of Surya Katha begin here. If you do upasana of one tattvam constantly, whether you know it or you don't know it, that tattvam will follow you and protect you when you need it. Rama has been doing Surya Upasana for far before this. The hint of this comes much earlier in the Ramayana. It comes when Vishwamitra has taken the two boys out of Ayodhya, and the very first morning after they are away from the palace, Vishwamitra wakes them up. Till date, Rama wakes up with that only, with that same verse. Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardulam Kartavyam Daiva Manhikam. The rahasyam of Surya Upasana is here. Wake up, because it is Prata Sandhya, Kausalya Supraja Rama. He refers to Rama's mother's name, saying, oh, one who is dear to Kausalya, Kausalya Supraja Rama, Purva Sandhya. It is Sandhya Kalam, rise before the sun comes. Why? Because you must use this Kalam. There are two ways of looking at this. One, as we spoke about yesterday, is Sandhya Kalam is Ushak Kalam. It is at Usha Kalam that the rays that destroy Ajnanam and Papam and Rogam, those rays are strongest at this point. So Ushak Kalam is extremely important for Aradhana of any Devata. And the second thing is, Vishwamitra is giving it to him as a bija, saying, rise now and begin the karyam for which you have come. Because he takes him out of Ayodhya and then takes him there. Vishwamitra hints about Aditya Upasana over there, just with two words, Purva Sandhya. Beginning of Ramayana, Balakanda, come to the Yuddha Kanda, the end of the epic, and Agastya explores the same thing in great detail. Talking about the idea that from then till now, Rama has constantly been connected to Surya Narayana. There are so many times, if you read the Ramayana, you will see when they are going across the forest, when it is Sandhya Kalam, Rama and Lakshmana will stop. Sita also stops, because they use Sandhya Kalam for Upasana. Sandhya Kalam is meant for Upasana of any Devata. It is not, and this is something we have to understand before we go into the Stotram, because the understanding for many is Sandhya Vandanam, or that is worship at Sandhya Kalam, is restricted to one community alone. That is a very, very narrow understanding of the concept. When the time is powerful, the time is not going to check somebody's Aadhaar card and say, oh, I'm only powerful for you, but I'm not powerful for the next door neighbor. It is powerful for anybody who chooses to utilize it. Electricity will work in any home where you switch the plug on. So how you use it is left to you. It makes no distinction. For one Varnam, there is a specific methodology in which they must worship, and they have to do that. But at every being who is alive can use Sandhya Kalam to connect with their Ishtadevata. How do you connect with your Ishtadevata? The same way Yajnam happens. How does Yajnam happen? You send the Havis through which Mandalam? Aditya Mandalam to whichever Devata you want. At Sandhya Kalam, you send your Namaskaram through Aditya Mandalam to whichever Devata you want. If you look at the rising sun or the setting sun and you chant Devi's names, Surya will take those names and he will give it to Devi. You can do the same thing for Vishnu. You can do the same thing for Shiva. And if you decide I want to give it to Surya itself, he will also take it. Whatever Devata you choose, Sanatana Dharma stresses on this, saying all Devatas have their own worship methodologies, but for any Devata's worship to be complete, you must necessarily worship them through the Aditya Mandalam. This is what Agastya now starts to expand for him. This is exactly the idea of the Gayatri Mantram. If you read the Gayatri Mantram, which we will not do on a stage because it is not allowed to do so, the Mantram does not describe a goddess called Gayatri. The Mantram essentially says, this light that is nourishing the three worlds, may this light guide my intellect. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Dhiyo Yonav Prachodayat. May it guide me to make better decisions. May my buddhi be guided by this light. Then who is Gayatri? Gayatri is the Chandas, absolutely. It's a Vedic meter. Who is Savit? Who is Savita? So who is this Devata then? Because we're saying Gayatri Mantram, and those who are familiar with the concept of Sandhya Vandanam, you will see that before Gayatri Japam is done, Gayatri Dhyanam is done. But Gayatri Dhyanam, if you see any Devata Stotram, when the Dhyanam is done, we envision that form and then the Stotram is addressed to that Devata. Dhyanam is done of Gayatri Devi, Mukta Vidrume Hema Neela Dhavala. And then the Mantram is read, but the Mantram doesn't have a direct connection with Gayatri Devi. So who is this Gayatri Devi then? The Rahasyam of Surya Upasana is this. If you use Sandhya Kalams, the Trisandhya Kalams, to do Aradhana of your Ishtadevata, whatever you chant for them at that time will become your protecting force. Gayatri means that force which protects the chanter is called Gayatri. If you look at Aditya and you read Rama Namam, Rama will become your Gayatri. That means Rama will protect you. The way Shastras describe how this force works says that when Bhagavan Namam is on the lips of a seeker, especially at Sandhya Kalam, if they do it as a prolonged sadhana, the way that force works is it stands on either sides of their door, ensuring that no force comes onto them, no negative force comes onto them. This is an idea we have lost with the passage of time gradually. This is the idea that we have lost when pujas have been commercialized. Swadhyaya, what are you individually doing? When you look at the rising sun, are you feeling a sense of gratitude? Are you remembering your Ishtadevata over there? All of this context, if we can do, then we will understand that is Aditya Hridayam. That is the heart of Aditya. Because if you look at Aditya Hridayam, at a very surface level, I can tell you it's not an explanation of anything. It is 127 names of Surya that are put together here. But the interesting thing is, these 127 names of Surya can be attributed to any Devata of your choice. And the interesting thing is, if you pick up any other Devata Stotram, you can see Surya hidden over there. You pick up Vishnu Sahasranamam. How many Aditya Namas are inside there? Can you name some? We would have chanted Vishnu Sahasranamam if you told, but you told Aditya Hridayam and came. What to do? Shastram is only insisting there, same, not me. Swayambhu Shambhuraditya. Think about it. Go back and read the same Sahasranamam and say, am I seeing Surya Namas here? Devi Sahasranamam, Lalita Sahasranamam, Bhanu Mandala Madhyastha, Bhairavi Bhagamalini. Why Bhairavi? Connection is there. But for this, you have to sit with that and not be in a hurry to finish your Kumkum Puja and wait for dollars to fly into your house. The objective is to sit with it. That is why they called it Upasana. Upasana, sit with it for some time. When you sit with it, when you contemplate on it, that is when the magic starts to reveal itself. But look at this context. Very similar to Arjuna's. I'm not again comparing Rama and Arjuna. But I'm saying the context is on a battlefield. Does he have the time to sit and to contemplate on something? No. This is a moment of crisis. In our lives, the battle may be metaphorical. It may not be exactly what these people are going through, but such battles will come. What do you do in that moment? In that moment, it can be very difficult to say, with all your indriya nigrahana, with all your sense organs restrained, focus on Paramatma. It's very difficult. But the sadhana that you have done till that point will come to your aid. If you open your eyes, your literal and your metaphorical eyes, and you allow that grace to speak to you. You can rely on the sadhana that you have done, but you should have done that. When you are feeling okay, and I have seen this so many times and it's so beautiful that people get into such a state of happy worship. Worship is not, did I offer 1008 flowers or 10,008? Did I stay connected for a long time? That will come and protect you when you least expect it, but you most need it. And that comes for Rama now. Rama is eternally connected. Rama has no need to worship. Rama is Parabrahma. But he is eternally connected to that Parabrahma. And now he shows, just as a nimitta, as an example, as a context, he says, if this happens to you, despite your sadhana being on point, you can trust that the divine will come. And that is exactly what happens. Devataishcha samagamya drashtumabhyagatoranam upagamya pravidramam agastyo Bhagavan Rishihi. Valmiki's genius. Agastya is coming. Agastya is a rishi, no? But he said Agastyo Bhagavan Rishihi. Why? Valmiki is telling us that this is a stotram. This piece of magic that is coming out now is a stotram. Every stotram, if you go back, again we will use Vishnu Sahasranamam as an anchor, it has a certain devata that it is addressed to. It has a certain rishi that received it. And if you see, Asya Shri Vishnu Divya Sahasranama Stotra Mahamantrasya Shri Veda Vyaso Bhagavan Rishihi. There it is declared as a statement. Valmiki with his poetry puts it in as Agastyo Bhagavan Rishihi. If you read it fast, you'll skip it. But if you focus on it, you'll realize, oh, he's giving a Maha Stotram. He's saying for this Stotram, it is Agastyo Bhagavan Rishihi. And Agastya comes and he says, Rama, I am not going to tell you anything new. Rama Rama Mahabaho Shunuguhyam Sanatanam. It's eternal. I'm not going to quickly find you a new way to come out of your troubles. I'm going to tell you something that is eternal. Shunuguhyam Sanatanam Yena Sarvan Harinvatsa Samare Vijayishyasi. Listen to this Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sarva Shatru Vinashadam. This part is fun. Oh, I also have enemies. I'll read it. The biggest ones are here. The dejection is the enemy. The sense of losing hope, that is the enemy, because that will cause actual parajayam. Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sarva Shatru Vinashanam Jayavaham Japen Nityam. He gave that underlined thing. Jayavaham Japen Nityam. Think about it. Sit with it. Akshayam Paramam Shivam. So this Agastya has probably done more for us than for Rama, because he gave the Palashruti in the beginning, so we become that much more attentive. Otherwise, if you also observe, most people when they read Sahasranamams, they'll be sitting half like this, hunchback when they read it. But when the Palashruti comes, saying, if you read this on Ekadashi, this is the Phalam, oh, the joy that people feel. Agastya probably recognized that in Kalikalam we will be like this. So let's put the Palashruti, half of it in the beginning, half we'll put later. That is why he said, Akshayam Paramam Shivam Sarva Mangala Mangalyam Sarva Papa Pranashanam Chinta Shoka Prashamanam. This can remove your mental difficulties. This is one phenomenal aspect of Aditya Aradhana. If you look at examples, even from yesterday's examples and some others which we will take now, every single person who did a namaskaram to Aditya when they were feeling uneasy, Aditya blessed them. In the Ramayana also there are examples. Sitama is Mahalakshmi, there is no doubt about it. But she also led the example the exact same way. The example goes again from Yuddhakanda itself. In this moment, what happens is, Ravana realizes that Rama is extremely strong. So he says, there's no way I can kill this fellow. What I can do is, I have to stop the war. I don't want Rama to win. So what should I do? Rama is fighting this war for whose sake? Sita's sake. Okay, everybody is familiar with that. Good. Rama is fighting the war for Sita's sake. If Sita kills herself, Rama will stop fighting. Rama will kill himself. So what can I do? Dushta Buddhi. Instead of focusing on at least some more strength training in the gym, he's doing this. What can I do so that I can Sita will kill herself so that Rama kills himself so that I win the war. And his solution for this is create a Maya Shiras, a head that is created through negative magic and of Rama and Lakshmana, and throw it in front of Sita. This will make her think Rama is dead. If she thinks Rama is dead, she will die. Knowing that she is dead, Rama will actually die. He has laid out this master plan, and he does exactly as he planned. So he goes and throws these heads in front of Sita, and the sight of your most beloved person, the sight of their decapitated head lying there in front of you is extremely unsettling for anybody, whatever their level of maturity and emotional processing is. And Sita sees that and she's repelled. She immediately breaks down. Ravana goes, because now he says, let the remaining magic happen. But truly magic happened because Trijata came to her and said, that is a Maya Shiras. Rama is alive. Do not trust it. You look at it and in a second the heads are gone. But the Drishyam, if you see a horror movie, that Drishyam remains because it captivates the sense organs in a very negative way. It does grahanam, remember this word. It does grahanam of the sense organs. It holds them. So this is exactly what happens to Sita. The Drishyam is gone. She knows, knowing and feeling are different things. She knows it's Maya, but she's feeling uncomfortable. At that point, she looks at Surya and does a namaskaram. When she does a namaskaram to Surya, she has manashanti. Moral of the story? Feeling uneasy, wherever it is, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're going through, one namaskaram to Surya. In that same context, before we begin Aditya Hridayam, can I share one story from the Mahabharata with a similar example? Because this is a reminder of what a namaskaram can do. We have essentially been doing Surya namaskaram since yesterday. Surya namaskaram is not 12 quick poses to lose weight. Surya namaskaram is not sun salutations. Namaskaram is namrata bhavam. Na mama. It's not me, it's you. That absolute ahankara tyagam is namaskaram. You and I are connected. That much is hidden in namaskaram. I'm setting the context for namaskaram, which will come in Aditya Hridayam shortly. This namaskaram to him alone, whether you do it in an elaborate vidhanam that Shastram is prescribing, or you simply bow down to your Ishtadevata, or you look at Surya. You look at your Ishtadevata in Surya, or you look at Surya as your Ishtadevata, and you just do one namaskaram. He will remember that namaskaram. Mahabharata quotes this very beautifully, where this story comes to us when the Pandavas are in Ajñatavasam. They are in incognito. So they are in disguise this entire year. That is the condition for them. That the last year of their Vanavasam, they must necessarily be in disguise. When they are like this in disguise, Draupadi works as the Sairantri. She works as the handsmaid to the queen, Sulochana. So when she is working with Sulochana like this, Sulochana in the kingdom where they are, Sulochana has a brother by named Kichaka. Kichaka is a pervert and he is also a tyrant. So despite her brother being like this, Sulochana's husband is unable to get him out of the kingdom because this man has so much of brute force. So this perverse Kichaka's eyes fall on this handsmaid. Only we know it's Draupadi, but everyone else refers to her as a Sairandri. So he tells his sister, send her to me tonight. So the queen tries to talk to Draupadi and she says, you should go. Draupadi says, I will not step in. I know exactly what his intentions are. No chance I'm going to go. But Draupadi has to remember, she is not the queen that she is elsewhere. She has to manage the situation very delicately. So she tries to protest, but it doesn't work. The queen says, you have to go. I don't know. And she sends her to Kichaka's chamber. Interesting thing is this. This happens towards evening. There are different versions. In the Moola Grantham it's different, in other versions it's different, but essentially she goes at night. When she's going between the queen's chamber and Kichaka's chamber, there's an open corridor, a courtyard, which is open to sky. At night, she looks up. I'm highlighting this detail. At night, she looks up and she says, Aditya, save me. And she goes. Not very sensible, no? Night, she could have chosen somebody else. Where is Aditya there? We'll read Aditya Hridayam. You'll only find out. Aditya Hridayam recognizes that Surya is a force that is not only present at daytime. Surya is present visibly at daytime, invisibly at night time, dissolved into all the energy around us. It's never absent. It's just on another part of the world. But that namaskaram does not go unnoticed. She just does a namaskaram and goes, and she's wondering what to do. She has sent, meanwhile, a word to Bhima. Bhima is the cook in the same kingdom. She has sent him a word saying, I am going to Kichaka's kingdom, to his quarters. I predict that there is going to be trouble, so you must come. But before that, she did one thing, one namaskaram to Surya. And she goes. When she goes there, Kichaka, she goes with a tray full of things that the queen said, you must give him all of this. When she goes there, she just wants to go put the tray over there. And she opens the door. Kichaka sees her. She goes to place these things on the table. And as soon as Kichaka sees her, his lust gets the better of him. And he pulls her. In that moment, Draupadi doesn't know what happens to her. She lifts her hand and she slaps Kichaka. When she slaps Kichaka, the slap is so hard that Kichaka falls. Kichaka is supposed to be as strong as Bhima. So it's not easy to push such a man to the ground. And he falls back. In that same moment, Bhima comes and the rest is history. Bhima kills Kichaka that night. But the rahasyam is here. What was there in Draupadi's hand slap that she was able to do this? This came because of that one namaskaram to Surya. When she did that namaskaram to Surya, Surya sent one of his Rakshasa Ganas. We will see a little later today how Surya has different categories and different groups of devatas, different shaktis next to him. Amongst them, when you do a namaskaram, based on your need, he will send one Gana for you. One Gana means one Kirana, one ray. That ray may or may not be visible to you. That ray came and entered Draupadi's hand, and that ray is what actually slapped him, because even Draupadi was surprised saying, how did I manage to hit him like that? But that is the power and that is the Raksha Shakti of Aditya. That is why if you're uneasy, if you're unsafe, Yena mapat sukrucheshu kantareshu bhayeshu cha. You're feeling uneasy, Aditya. That is what he gave. It is not about the external situations. Internally, are you feeling uneasy? When everything around you is in doldrums, this is what you can do. Namaskaram. Bow down to him with one namaskaram. You don't know anything? Listen to the Aditya Hridayam. There are phenomenal versions of it. And on that same note, I'm going to invite you saying today onwards, consider it as Aditya Vasara, as Bhanu Vasara, as a Diksha Dinam, and pick up this very Aditya Hridayam for 48 days. Do a namaskaram to him continuously for 48 days. Something will change for you. Whatever is needed to change for you will change for you. That is the power of consistency in sadhana. So here, with all this backdrop, now begins this beautiful verse. But the biggest question is, which devata is it addressed to? Is it addressed to Surya? Yes, Vinay, why else are we here? But the magic is, if you see these verses, which we will start to see, every single verse can speak to you about a different devata. But look at the formation of Aditya Hridayam. So now we begin with the stotram. The stotram begins with the words Rashmi Mantam Samudyantam Devasura Namaskritam. Rashmi Mantam. Rashmi means Kiranas. Rashmi Mantam means the one who is resplendent with Kiranas. So the first two lines are actually referring to the Surya Kiranas. Again, they are all on the perception of the human eye. How is the human eye seeing Surya? Before we see Surya, we see light. We see the Kiranas before we see him. Rashmi Mantam Samudyantam. They are rising. Devasura Namaskritam. Such a recognition of this universe. There is Devas and there are Asuras. Both of them are doing Namaskaram to Surya. Why? Yesterday we spoke about a tussle between Devatas and Asuras and how we are quick to classify this as the gods and the demons. And then we have a very poor understanding of what's happening. Where do the Devatas live? Swarga Lokas. Urdhvadi Lokas. Basically Swargadi. They live in Swarga and other realms. Where do the Rakshasas live? Where is Patala? Below the earth. And Devatas above the earth. What is the tussle between them? The tussle is because the Rakshasas want to keep all the sampada, all the wealth that comes onto earth comes actually from below the earth. Whether you look at it in terms of plants, germination, whether you look at it in terms of gemstones, all of this is hidden below the surface of the earth. The Rakshasas want to keep it here. They want to keep Lakshmi there. Patala Lakshmi, Naga Lakshmi, Bhoga Lakshmi, they want to keep her there. The Devatas want to release her for the good of the world. So the tussle between them is what brings about nature. So what does Indra do? What does Surya do? Surya shines brightly and evaporates all the water bodies. Then Indra makes clouds out of these and sends them as downpour. That downpour will fall on the earth and cause crops to germinate. So they pull out that sampada. That sampada is what we consume, and we are healthy and safe because of this. So the tussle between devatas and asuras is again another cosmic phenomenon that is happening at a larger level, saying this is always on. Some things must remain there for some time before they germinate. That is when that Rakshasa Shakti is working. And some things, when they are ready to germinate, must come out of the earth. That is Devata Shakti that is working. So this is constantly happening. Both of them belong to the same Paramatma. Veda is not denying that at all. That is why Deva Asura Namaskritam. For us, Asura means we'll only make one Asura face when we see that word. But Asura, in this context, is recognizing that there are equal and opposite forces in this universe, and all of them are depending on the same source of light. Deva Asura Namaskritam. Then, Pujayasva Vivasvantam. Bhaskaram Bhuvaneshwaram. Now we'll stop here. Bhaskaram Bhuvaneshwaram, the Lord of this universe. When do we see Surya for the first time in the day? Morning, sunrise. So technically he is the first devata that we see. Then he should be the first devata that we do puja to, no? But who is the first devata that we do puja to? You make up your mind. Surya is the first devata that we see, we should be doing puja to him. But Ganapati is the first devata that we should do puja to. Are they different? What color is the rising sun? Orange, red. Before, just as soon as the sun is rising, which is not recommended to be seen, that is entirely red. Arunam. That it is a bright, stark red. That red, Raktam Lambodaram Shurpakarnakam Raktavasasam Raktagandhanuliptangam Raktapushpai Supujitam. All of this, Ganapati's color is red. In the day, from the second Surya rises, every devata has one muhurta kalam, when if you do that devata's aradhana, that devata's power can easily be harnessed. The first muhurta kalam, 48 minutes from sunrise onwards, is assigned to Ganapati. So in the first 48 minutes of the day, when Surya is rising, it is Ganapati. If you do Ganapati Aradhana at that time, it is extremely powerful for him. The red color is also symbolic. So when you say Adi Pujya, Aditya, Adi Pujya, it's the same thing. When you see that rising sun, can you remember Ganapati? That is where Ganapati Tattvam comes in. Those kiranas of the rising sun are nothing but Ganapati's massive ears. The Swarupam of Surya will change if we learn to adjust our vision. So Ganapati Tattvam comes out very, very beautifully here with respect to him. These are all Sanketavadas. Puranas will just leave them as an idea. Ganapati and Surya both have a connection to the same kinds of red flowers. Mandara Pushpa over there, Mandara Pushpa has been renamed, or we believe it to be hibiscus. But even if you look from that perspective of hibiscus, it makes perfect sense. Because hibiscus is red. That red applies to both of them, the color of the rising sun and Ganapati. So this Surya could be Ganapati. If it is Ganapati, is it not other devatas? All these confusions can be running for us, which is why Agastya made it very clear. Sarva Devatmako Hyeshaha. Hyeshaha is a very beautiful word that comes in several Veda mantras, which is being used now in a itihasa. Hyeshaha means him. The ability to point at one form and say him. Hyeshaha. For that, he should be in front of you, number one. Number two, you should know who you're talking about when you're pointing at him and saying, yes, him. Sarvadevatmako Hyeshaha Tejasvi Rashmi Bhavanaha. He who is filled with these kiranas is glowing, Tejasvi, and he is the essence of any devata. Now, when you look from this, line by line, we'll start speaking to you about a different devata in this very Aditya Hridayam. Because here, the idea of how do we connect Aditya to our Ishta Devata starts to open up. So for example, as the stotram moves on, like I said, in the interest of time, and to be very honest, if we had to take every namam from Bhaskaram, Bhuvaneshwaram, Sarvadevatmako Hyeshaha, Tejasvi, Rashmi Bhavanaha, if we had to take each namam of Aditya Hridayam, it would be a course and not a talk. Because it deserves that kind of time to unpack the tattvam behind each name and then see This is the consolidated image that the Rishi is giving us behind this name. But because we have a time constraint, I want to introduce us to the format of the stotram to see how the Rishi has not arbitrarily put together 127 names. It's not what he has felt like. There is a system in place, and that system is working in great precision, just like Surya himself. So you will see this very beautifully when you see, after he declares, he is representing all the devatas. So no confusion. Is he Ganapati? Is he this? We will clear up that confusion in any case in some time, but we've already introduced Surya as Ganapati. Now, when you look from this bhavana, Sarvadevatmako Heshaha Tejasvi Rashmi Bhavanaha Yesha Deva Suraganan Lokan Pati Gabhastibihi. Then comes a beautiful format which you don't see in too many stotras. The entire department of gods is listed out here. Yesha Brahmacha. Come, shall we count? Yesha Brahmacha, Vishnuscha, Shivaha, Skandaha, Prajapatihi, Mahendro, Dhanadaha, Kalaha, Yamaha, Somaha, Apampatihi, Pitaraha, Vasavaha, Sadhyaha, Hyashvinaha, Marutaha, Manuhu, Vayuhu, Vahni, Prajapranaha, and then Ritukarta, Prabhakaraha are saying Ritukarta, the one who causes seasons. So we pause at Vayu, Vahni, Prajapranaha. How many did you get? I thought Vinay was counting. That's why I asked you to keep a stotram with you. How many are there? 21. Whose number is 21? Ekavimshati patrani pujayami Ganapati. These 21 forms are the 21 different namaskarams that we offer to Ganapati when we offer him during Vinayak Chaturthi. One thing connects to another. But now see this format. Yesha Brahmacha Vishnuscha Shivaha. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Trimurtis are there in this Surya. Because when Rishis saw Surya, they saw the ability of these kiranas to bring life. One, they saw how these kiranas sustained life. Try to grow a plant without sunlight. Keep it in a place where there is just some ambient light and no direct light. You will see how miserable that plant will be. Sthiti, for sthiti you need Surya kiranas. And eventually when that plant's time is up, the same sunlight will make the plant wither and dry up. Samhara. Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara. All happening because of Surya kiranas. So we see this Surya as Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Is that it? Esha Brahma cha Vishnu cha Shivaha Skandaha. This is a very interesting devata. Look at the format. First come Trimurtis at the top. Skanda is whose son? Shiva's son. So he takes a reference now to somebody's child. From the Trinities, the next. Not in stature. Skandaha. Skanda and Subramanya and Surya have something very, very strongly in common. What is Subramanya's Vahana? What is special about the peacock's feather? All the 7 colors are visible. All the 7 colors are visible to us because of the sun's light. Because the sun is falling on something and giving us an entire spectrum that we know today as the Vibgyor spectrum. From violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange. Your entire Vibgyor spectrum is contained in the peacock feather. The peacock is a representation of the entire universe of light. And the one who rides that, who makes that universe visible to us, is called Skanda or is called Surya. So that's why he first talks about saying Trimurtis are based on your rays. These Trimurtis, the functions of Trimurtis are happening through your rays alone, and this whole world of light is visible to us, and then you become Skanda. Further, Subramanya Swami's nakshatram is Kritika nakshatram. Surya's nakshatram is also Kritika nakshatram. Same tattvam, Agni tattvam. They both are Agni tattvam. If you see the story of how Kumara manifests, it is Shiva's tejas which goes to Agni. Shiva's retas. That is a golden retas. Retas means seed. That seed is passed on to Agni. Agni passes it on to Vayu. Vayu puts it into Ganga, and so on and so forth. That retas is golden. Hiranya retas. Hiranya retas is Surya. It is about the glowing tattva. So Skanda comes here. There is more, but it will come in time. Skandaha Prajapatihi, the one who rules over prajas, who takes care of them. Because Skanda, what is Skanda created for? Skanda is created because he has to essentially fight a war with Tarakasura. To fight this war, Skanda must bring all the devas together. He must become their Senapati, Deva Senapati. That Deva Sena is all the Kiranas that you see. Essentially, when our rishis worshipped Surya, they did not see Surya as a different god and all of these as different gods. They said, there is one source of light in this universe, one source of jnanam, one source of everything. From this source, every kirana is coming and working differently. Each kirana we called one devata. That is essentially it. So there is no need to break heads over it saying, which god is he talking about here? One kirana falls on the earth and causes evaporation, condensation cycles, causes clouds to form. That kirana is responsible for rain. We call that devata as Indra. One kirana is leading all of this and ensuring that in the sky it is uniformly spreading that light. That force is called Skanda, which is causing all of this uniform light to be distributed, because any army needs a leader, needs a commander-in-chief. That commander-in-chief here is Skanda. That's why Skanda is followed by Prajapati. Yesha Brahma cha Vishnushcha Shiva Skanda Prajapati. Now starts the beautiful formation. Mahendro. Mahendra means Maha Indra. Indra from TV serials and from comic books, who is forever insecure, is not the Indra I'm talking about here. Indra is a padam. It is a padavi. It is a term. It is an office. Just as we say Prime Minister, Indra Padavi is one kind of Indra. Second, in Vedic terminology, Indra is always referred to as Parabrahma. Agnishtama, Indrashtame, Somashtame, Indrashtame, Savitachame, Indrashtame. All of this, may all these things come to me through Indra. Indra is Parabrahma Vachaka Shabda. It refers to Parabrahma. So here it says Mahendra. The first name that is given is Mahendra. Mahendra, as I said, is exactly the kirana that falls from Surya and causes the evaporation and condensation cycle and ensures that rain falls on the earth. Now you see why Indra has a Vajrayudha, the thunderbolt, because that thunderbolt is sending thunder and lightning and life-sustaining forces down for us. So the next time you're quick to laugh and pass a joke on Indra, remember that if he doesn't send the rain cycle, BWSSB will not be able to help you. That Indra is responsible for this force. That Indra is named first. Let's just remember this order. Mahendra. After Mahendraha, Dhanadaha. Dhanada, the one who is in charge of the treasury. Kubera. Next comes Kala is Yama. And after this, Mahendro Dhanadakkalo Yamas Somo Hyapampatihi. Apampatihi. Mahendraha, Dhanadaha, Kala and Yama. They have said it together. Mahendro Dhanadakkalo Yamas Somo Apampatihi. Somaha and Apampatihi. Apampatihi is the lord of water, Varuna. Anything interesting about any connection between these four names? Indra, Kubera, Yama and Varuna. The directions, the four deities ruling over the four directions. All these are coming into being because of Surya. Literally. When we know what is east, only then do we know what is west, what is south and what is north. There is a beautiful process and a beautiful concept called as Dikpalaka Devatas. The rulers of different directions. If you do a namaskaram to them every morning, whichever direction you go in, you will attain victory. Because they are ruled by certain forces. The east, it's a good opportunity to understand this a little bit in detail. The east is ruled by Indra. But Surya rises in the east, so why did we give it to Indra? Because they are the same. That is why Indra rules the east. What's the next direction? We're going clockwise. Nothing between east and south? What is southeast called in Sanskritam? Agneya. The intermediary directions will tell you the name of the direction will tell you the name of the devata that rules that. So Agneya will be ruled by Agni. East, southeast, Dakshinam. Dakshina is ruled by Yama. Yama rules this direction. What's next? Hey, only this side is answering. southwest, also known as Nairitya, ruled by a Rakshasa called Niruruti. Absolutely. The railways that we have here is also the southwestern railways. So you will see that it says this on the board as well when you see it in any of the Indian languages. Then comes Paschima Disha, which is west. The west is ruled by, I don't know, Vinay, I thought you'll tell us. Varuna. All the western direction. That is why in Sandhya Vandanam, in the evening, one does a Varuna Prarthana. Because one turns towards the west and does this. So this is Varuna. Then comes northwest, called as Vayavya. Vayavya ruled by Vayu. Then comes north. North is ruled by Kubera. One version says Kubera. And finally comes Ishanya, ruled by Ishana, which is a form of Shiva. So these are the Ashtadikpalakas. There are two more, Urdhva Loka and Adha Loka. Urdhva is ruled by, remember that story of Shiva becoming a massive Jyotirlingam and Brahma going on top, Vishnu going below? Brahma went on top because Brahma is the ruler of the Urdhva Lokas, Vishnu of the nether regions. These are the 10 Dikpalaka Devatas. All of them are coming into being based on what? Based on one single anchor. When Surya is there, alone you know which is east, which is west. Without Surya, you cannot tell these things. So beautifully he said, Mahendro, Dhanadaha, Kalaha, Yamaha, Somaha, Apampatihi. He has essentially framed the world for you. The intermediate directions are coming as a result of these two. But he has essentially given you the simple grid that you need to identify that all these are forms of Surya. This is Surya Shakti which is hidden in the water and makes us call him as Varuna. This is Surya Shakti which is hidden in the clouds. We call him as Mahendra. This is Surya Shakti which is keeping our time here. So we call him as Kala or Yama. This is Surya Shakti which is blessing us with wealth in the form of crops, in the form of food, in the form of anything that we need. So we call him as Dhanadaha. Is it any different from Surya? It's all Surya's Vachas only. So this formation is laid out. Mahendro Dhanadakkalo Yamassomo Hyapampatihi Pitaro Vasavasadhyaha. This is where something beautiful, additionally from yesterday, because we set the context yesterday, it becomes that much easier to explore it. Yesterday we said that when we offer something into the Agni Devata takes it through Surya Mandalam and he offers it to whichever Devata. But this is amongst Devatas. Devata we can easily refer to as a group. But there is a beautiful concept of Vyavasthas, different departments within Devatas. One amongst them is the Vyavastha of Pitru Devatas. Vyavastha means department. The department of Pitru Devatas is not our ancestors alone. It's not our grandparents, their parents alone. They are taken care of by the Pitru Devatas. So what is the idea here? When we do a namaskaram to the Pitru Devatas, the Pitru Devatas receive our namaskaram, and when we offer the Pitru Devatas something, which we do through a shraddham, what do? They take the essence of that annam that is offered in the pindam or whatever format it is, they take the essence of that and they know where our ancestors are, so they pass on that food to them in whatever form they are. Today, if we are sitting and we are able to eat this morning's breakfast, which we all had comfortably, it means somewhere somebody offered a shraddha for us from our previous lives with sincerity. That is why the Pitru Devatas transferred it. That is the cycle of continuity and gratitude that is maintained in the universe. How is Surya connected to all of this? If he has to pass it to Devatas or Pitru Devatas, it is Aditya Mandalam. It is through the Aditya Mandalam that it goes. So essentially the namaskaram that is given to Surya, if you look at Surya and do a namaskaram saying, may my ancestors be well, he will pass that blessing on to them. He will pass on the result, the phalam of that namaskaram to them. Can we change that one thing and say, may my ancestors be well? Because Pitru Devata Vyavastha is an elaborate Vyavastha in itself. But we may or may not know the technicalities of it. In essence, can we look at Surya and say, you take care of my ancestors wherever they are. So that is why in Agnihotram that happens in two ways. When we offer the mantram or we offer the ajyam with swahakaram, it is taken and offered to Devatas. When it is offered with swadhakaram, it goes to Pitru Devatas. Swaha and swadha are inseparable from Agni, so that is why they are believed to be Agni's patnis. He is served by both Swaha and Swadha because he caters to both the requirements of the gods and to the Pitru Devatas. So by saying Surya is the Pitru Devata, what we are saying is Surya is watching over that department also. There's a host of other secrets here also, but we have to go ahead with the stotram. And I assure you, if I ever take up Aditya Hridayam as a course, then we will elaborate on Pitaro Vasavas Sadhyaha alone for an entire day. From here, Pitaro Vasavas Sadhya Hyashvino Maruto Manuhu. Come Ashwini Devatas. Surya brings health. If something is imbalanced within the health, which we will see the cause of in just a few minutes, Surya can diagnose that. Surya can treat that. That is why the Ashwini Kumaras are also there. The Ashwini Kumaras are always present with Surya. We will see this when we do the Ratha Dhyanam, which we will do later today. These, what we mean by saying the Ashwini Kumaras are always standing there is, when you look at Surya, automatically the grace of physicians is falling on you. Because those Kiranas have that Shakti. Rogaharana Shakti is there in Kiranas. That is why no amount of vitamin D tablets can change the effect of standing and doing one Namaskaram in front of Surya. But if you do Adhika Prasanga,